I think that was one in Jersey that went bankrupt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
1991, Taj Mahal in Bangkok, in Atlantic City.
Didn't they close though?
No, they're still open.
One of them was gonna close, right?
Yeah,
summer?
but they
Wasn't
they
Taj
stopped
Mahal?
it. Yeah, but they didn't end up. They're still open
He
now.
sold the 91?
Yeah, they're paying
So
him
then
to
he
use
owns
the
it.
name.
Oh, he doesn't own it anymore?
No.
Trump, okay.
Alright, good. Alright, so did anyone change their mind in the course of that discussion? Or do we still have 1 depends and 5 no's? Okay, alright. Any thoughts on why no one changed their mind, or maybe different conversation strategies you could have used to get someone to change their mind?
I can see where Maxine was heading because you kind of need more than what was just presented to make a formal decision on whether should this person use it or is just corporate or not.
Yeah, I would say your arguments to try to convince Maxine to change her mind were very, very good. And a mistake a lot of people make is they don't understand why the person is stating their case. And you clearly understood that, okay, this is the reason, we understand where you're coming from, Maxine, but exceeds the value of his, whatever by hundreds of millions. And you got her to say, oh yeah, well it depends, I would need more information. And I think we clearly can't go too much further than that. Once Maxine said I need more information, that's fair. But what was impressive about the way you approached that conversation is you got in her mindset. And you said, we understand what you're saying, and this is why we think it makes more sense. I would say good job. Sometimes this will bring out a lot of impassioned, bitter fights where people don't realize that someone is saying you should go to bankruptcy court for a purely emotional reason. And they try to use rational logic to convince the person otherwise. Alright, great. Let's see what I got next. I think we're going to move on to some conversation scenarios. Conversation scenarios. Alright, remember this question versus statements. Venetia, can you sum this up for us again? Orlando. David.
Basically, questions are less likely to make someone
Trigger an emotional hijack.
Yeah.
Yes.
and
then what's the intention versus impact for a couple people who maybe come in late, Venetia?
people remember the impact, not the intention.
Yes, so we judge ourselves based on our intention. Other people judge us based on our impact. So let's think about those two things as we approach some of these conversation scenarios. Sometimes when I have a larger class, I'll have people break up in groups, but I think we can just do this as a class. We can go through these scenarios, we'll do a little role playing, we'll critique each other, and we'll think about, did you handle this conversation well from an emotional intelligence standpoint. Sound fun? And everyone's good, no one needs a break, right? We can just power through. Okay, so let's take a look at this first conversation scenario. Small group scenario. Okay, so I'm going to read through this scenario for you, and then we're going to have two people, one person play each role. We'll do a practice conversation and critique the emotional intelligence aspect of it. So, small group scenario 1. In your role, so you, being the person reading this, are going to be the VP of sales for a software company, and you oversee several district managers who themselves oversee 5 to 6 sales reps. So your job is a VP of sales, you have several district sales managers, and they oversee 5 to 6 sales reps themselves. One of your district managers, Pat, led a team that has performed very well over the last 2 years, but in the first quarter of 2015, sales in Pat's district have been surprisingly low. There have been personal conflicts between Pat and 2 of the sales reps that seem to be related to the low sales figures. Replacing or moving the sales reps would be difficult because of the personal relationships that they have with customers. Moving Pat to another district would be fairly easy. However, Pat has been a great district manager and you do not want Pat to feel blamed or punished, so you would like to resolve the personal conflicts and get the team back up to par. You need to talk with Pat. Alright, can I have a volunteer to play Pat? Alright, Orlando. Come on up, please. Okay, a volunteer to play the VP of sales. Alright, Tisha. Alright, so So we're gonna let you initiate this conversation with Pat. Approach it however you like. We'll take some notes. Think about some critique maybe we can give you. I'm gonna motion to tell you.
Pick each other.
Whatever you want. Letitia, you can knock on the door or say whatever, or however you wanna approach it.
Hi Pat, how are you doing?
I'm doing well.
I understand that your sales have went down this quarter. Do you know, have any reasons why it may have went down?
I don't know as of right now, we're still trying to figure it out. But we're definitely gonna improve it.
How do you plan on improving it?
Well, we're gonna go back to the basics, go back to the drawing board and see if the customers are still satisfied, see if people still wanna purchase this software. And do a little bit more research to make sure that the following quarter is an improvement.
Do you have any direct reasons on anyone you can say that is the reason why it's going down? Like, can you pinpoint which of the sales reps has been doing the lowest?
I could pinpoint which sales rep is doing the lowest, but right now I feel more it's like a market issue rather than just a sales rep.
I like that.
Okay.
Oh, you can conclude the conversation whenever you're ready to.
Quick question. I'm Pat, so she's trying to remove me from like my office, right?
I'm
So
trying
she
to
should be.
figure out what should we do, right?
Well,
Yeah, you're trying to solve this problem that was presented to you. And when you feel this conversation has solved the problem, or you're done with the conversation because it's not going anywhere, or for whatever reason you want to end the conversation, you can say, all right, I'm leaving.
Oh, so I could give him an ultimatum?
You could.
Okay.
You absolutely could. You could fire him right now if you want.
So if I asked you to pick 2 people, would you be able to do that?
pick 2 sales representatives, that's not up to par.
Yes.
I can pick 2, yes.
Would you be okay with firing them, or would you want to personally work with them to bring them up to par, and how would you do that?
I would rather work with them. I understand that all the sales rep has families and a lot of people depend on them. And I'm very sure by next quarter, the sales will be up.
And how? Are you sure? Could we say that your relationship between the employees and yourself is one of the problems?
No, I think that we carry ourselves very professional and our statuses, our relationship with each other isn't the problem. I feel more, the market is more of an issue, but I'm guaranteeing next quarter will definitely be up and you will be satisfied, and by next quarter, we'll be here in this same office. You'll be actually congratulating me, telling me how great we all did.
But if the market is the problem, there's no way you can guarantee me that next quarter it will be up to par.
Well, next quarter, as you know, we have the different software program that's gonna come out, and it should definitely be an eye-opener for everyone out there.
I'm thinking about moving you to another district. How does that sound?
Why me?
Because that's a good question. I think I'm satisfied with what you said. It would be easier for me to move you to another district instead
Got
of
it.
hiring the other 2 people.
Oh, I guess it will be easier.
Yeah, yeah.
So.
I think I'm satisfied.
You know what? I'm just
Okay.
gonna leave. And just grab my stuff and go.
All right, good. Stay there for a minute. All right, let's give some feedback to. We'll focus on how Pat, not Pat, but how the VP of Sales approached this conversation and what worked, was effective, what might she have done differently.
I like that she asks a lot of questions to try to pinpoint the issue. A lot would assume, well, some managers would assume that, it's this and go straight for the gun. She's trying to find out what the issue is, how they can make it better, and if she should move that.
Okay, what are your thoughts on that, Maxine?
Her approach was good, but I believe that as the VP of sales and him being directly under you or him, it could have been more of a collaborative approach. Okay, what do we need to do? What do we need to evaluate? As opposed to having him pick out some sales rep and have him throw him under the bus, or move him to another location.
Yes.
He says like a marketing type strategy, okay, then we're all sales. What do we need to do? Can we change that direction?
Yeah, there's interesting. So there were questions that Letitia was asking at the beginning, to Venetia's point, but I feel like she was getting at something specifically, and she got to it eventually. That there's 2 sales reps who are underperforming. Can you pick them? And I might have to move you. So in my mind, it was almost like she was asking questions, but they were loaded questions. There were questions she clearly had an agenda, and then she got to that agenda. So I'd say both of those things were not ideal. Walking in with a clear agenda is not a great idea, and then getting right to the agenda is not a great idea. And I like Maxine's thought that let's make this true questions. Like, if you ask questions, yes, they're less likely to trigger an emotional hijack, but you want them to be true questions. You might have even said, so I understand there's a couple sales reps who aren't performing well. I want to ask you, as the district manager, with the person with expertise, what can we do to solve that problem? Any other thoughts? Unsaid reason. She started out with a statement, I understand sales went down. How did that make you feel when she just started? Yeah. Boom. Walks into your office, I understand sales are down.
What do you mean?
And then I think she followed up with, why are sales down?
Yeah.
So there was 2 examples of stuff that could freak you out. One, a clear statement, sales are down, and then the way she asked the question, tell me why sales are down, was not the soft kind of question that puts you on. Alright. Good, excellent. Alright, so let's have you 2 sit down. Let's try another scenario. Okay. You are a marketing director supervising 18 professionals and support staff. The nature of the work requires a collaborative environment where professionals give work direction to the support staff. Alright, so you've got professionals, and you've got 18 professionals, and then you've got support staff. You supervise everyone. As a professional on your team, Chris has started dating a person on the support staff. Although there's no policy prohibiting dating, several of the coworkers have complained about the 2 being too affectionate at work. Some also indicate there's preferential treatment for Chris's newfound love interest. You need to talk to Chris. Would someone like to play Chris for us? Someone like to play the marketing director? Alright, which one do you want, Amanda? Chris or the marketing director?
I was trying not to.
You're trying to hide?
I'll be the marketing director.
Okay, alright, so David will be Chris, Amanda will be the marketing director. So Amanda, you initiate and end the conversation however you feel is appropriate.
Hold on, put it back up so I can
Sorry.
read it.
So you're the marketing director, you have 18 professionals like Chris/David. Everyone works together and the professionals give work direction to the support staff. Chris is now dating a support staff. There's no policy against it, but several people have complained they're too affectionate, and he seems to be giving preferential treatment to Chris,
Hey
or his
Chris.
newfound love interest.
Hi Chris, how you doing?
Oh,
I just wanted to talk to you about some chatter that's been going around. I've been hearing that you're now dating somebody in the support crew. Is that true?
that might be true.
I don't wanna be in your personal business, and I know that, you know, that's something that's outside of work, but if it's affecting our team and our projects, then, you know, it's something that I wanted to address with you. I know there's no policy as far as not dating somebody, on the team, and, you know, if you guys found love, that's perfectly okay with me, but I just wanna make sure that you keep it outside of work. Like, I don't want you to, you know, be using work hours to be talking or texting each other or, you know, doing anything inappropriately, so. Is that okay? Like, you know, could you just keep it off work hours?
Yeah, that's fine, I mean, I appreciate you talking to me about it. I don't think I did any of those things, and I'm not sure who, you know, is making these accusations. Do you know who's making this accusation?
Well, I just can't really say who's making accusations, I just started noticing some chatter around the office that people were discussing the two of you. And I just want you, you know, just to keep your professional, image and, you know, not for anybody to be looking at you like you're giving somebody special treatment. So. I don't know, I'm done. Thank you, Chris.
Good. Comments for Amanda.
I think she was good. I think she
Yeah.
brought it up nicely. At the end, I felt like she was mad. I'm done. I felt like she was concluded.
Okay, so I'm done, alright, I'm done, that was clear. I'm done. How about when David said that might be true, do you remember that?
Yeah.
So what do you think of that dynamic? Was that like a positive dynamic going on there? Was he on edge emotionally? Was he maybe in the middle of an emotional hijack?
Yeah, emotional hijack.
Yeah.
Yes, he said that might be true. Now, the interesting thing is after he said that, that's when she said, I don't want to get into your personal business, I know there's no policy against this, but what I wanted to make sure is this doesn't affect work.
Yeah.
Now, what if she had said that before she asked them, is that true?
He maybe would have reacted differently.
Yeah, she could have said, I've heard you may be dating someone, I don't want to get into your business, I know you can, there's no policy against it, but I just want to be sure that this doesn't affect yada yada. And so, is it true that this is happening, and is there a way we can make sure that that plays out the way it should? Then I think he would have reacted more positively. Instead of saying that might be true, he said, oh yeah, I understand, I'm not about to get fired, I'm not necessarily in trouble, and sure, I'll admit it. The other note I have is this ended with a little bit of a Chris David saying, I don't think I did any of those things wrong. And what did you think about that? Was that a positive way for this to end, and could that have been avoided? Maxine?
It probably has been addressed, you know, by letting him know that, well, it's making some of your coworkers very uncomfortable, so I know that it's happening. I think that was kind of a backpedal for him.
Oh, okay, a backpedal for David? Like he was backpedaling?
Yeah.
Okay, so I didn't do any of those things, but that I have to acknowledge that it was making people uncomfortable, whatever I did. Okay. My thought on this is that it doesn't conclude with anything, any statement that David did something wrong. There's no write-up, there's no action. So why make it feel that way? Because then there's a way we can not make it feel that way.
I don't think so, because everyone knows it's like a big no-no to date in work environments. Nobody really wants to admit to it. I mean, unless you know, where you're working is, yeah. But, yeah. No.
Okay. I mean, I just wondered if there's some way where this conversation could have been posed where David didn't react by saying, I don't think I did any of those things, and rather saying, you're right, I thank you, Amanda, for acknowledging that I didn't do anything wrong, but also that it's important that everyone feels comfortable. Any ideas? She could have approached it. Letitia?
Could she have given scenarios of where people felt like he was playing favoritism, so he knew that he really did something?
I think that could have been useful because instead of doing saying specifically, this is something where someone felt there was favoritism going on, she listed off a bunch of scary things. She said affectionate, text messages, yada, 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 yada. So she lists all these things that David is gonna think, oh, that sounds really bad. And if he can at least say, I didn't do one of them, then he's gonna get defensive. So I think that would have been a great way to do it. So I know you didn't do anything wrong, but this is what happened. Preferential treatment in this particular scenario, let's work together to make sure that doesn't happen. Alright, good job, Ben. Good job. And this is all just good fodder for us to discuss. I'm not trying to criticize the way anyone approaches anything. Alright, this is a good one. Alright, hope you're feeling better. Alright, you are an office manager overseeing a department of 25 people. 2 of your employees separately came to you and complained about Jamie's unpleasant body odor and how difficult it is to work in the same area. You agreed to talk to Jamie. Alright, who would like to be Jamie?
Me.
Alright, Tanisha. Fantastic. Who would like to be the office manager?
You're gonna be the manager?
No, she's
No,
not.
Jamie.
Just Jamie. We
I
need
already ruled out.
an office manager. Alright, thank you, Maxine.
Well, you did do this before.
I did. I always referred it to HR. I don't know why. Who are you? Jamie?
Jamie.
Hi, Jamie. How are you?
Hi, how you doing?
I'm okay. I'm okay. Is everything all right with you lately? You're okay?
Yeah, you know, work is work, but everything's good.
Okay. Anything going on that you want to share? Anything happening? You know, I know there's been some changes in the office with you, and just want to touch base and see if there's anything that you need to know I can help you with at home or anything else.
No, the part of my block, they shut the water off, so
Okay. So, I didn't want to come at you, to make us feel uncomfortable in any way. But we're in a small office, and the reason why I asked you to do different and things going on, because I noticed that a lot of people have been complaining, with how you smell. And I know that's not like you. That's why I wanted to ask you anything going on that maybe need to be addressed, so I can probably help you with, or I can actually have a discussion with the team and tell them to just there's something going on, or
I'm just telling you that, Con Ed came and they shut the water off. And it's been a couple of weeks now, so I'm waiting, my side of town, there's no reliable hotels.
Okay. So with that being said, you're a great employee, and I want my team to stay together.
So you're saying that my odor is smelling the team?
Yes, they're distracted. They're a bit distracted, and as I said, I want to keep my team together. So what I'm going to do is, since you're having issues at home with Con Ed, electricity, and water, we'll be able to help you out with you can expense a hotel close by to work.
Okay.
And
Dodgeball.
right.
So there's a new condo.
Yeah, actually, there's a hotel that the company works with, and we're gonna, have you stay there until the issue's resolved. But what I will need you to do, though, to kind of help compensate that, is to come a little bit earlier and leave just maybe an hour later. Seeing that we're gonna help each other here. Does that work? Otherwise, if it's going to cause issues with everyone working, there's going to be some performance issues either from majority of the team that's been having problems. So I don't want there to be issues with anyone's performance.
Okay. If you're helping me by paying for a hotel, but everyone else is complaining about my odor, why should I have to suffer coming early and later?
Well, we want to try to share that expense, but I want to keep you on the team. Because it's year one, and it's majority may rule. You understand where I'm coming from here?
Not really.
No. Okay. What are you not understanding?
I'm not understanding why I have to work. My hours have to be longer than everyone else's.
Okay. What do you suggest?
The same amount of hours.
and us to take on the expense of.
That's if
helping
you are willing to.
There has to be some in between. Okay. No? No in between? Alright, so then, unfortunately, Jamie, we may have to let you go if you're not willing to.
Strong.
I think I got went over the edge here. Alright, so I'm I don't know what to do with that.
You fired her.
You're not going online.
Before you get to sign a disclaimer that you cannot mention the company or.
I don't
I don't know how to address that type of situation.
I'm glad we got that one on video. I don't think I've ever seen that.
Is it on video?
Yeah, it's on video. I don't think I've ever seen someone end a conversation by getting fired. I have some thoughts. Break it, but what happened there? Why did that end with her getting fired? It started off so well.
She wasn't willing to accommodate to the hours.
Okay.
She felt like it was unfair, which is completely right. Like, she shouldn't have to work longer hours because companies are supposed to take on that. Well, they don't have to take on that expense, but you shouldn't offer it. There shouldn't be an ultimatum. I don't think I've ever had an ultimatum by the company paying for something that I'm gonna.
Yeah, alright. Good point. Good point. So it ended, that ultimatum got thrown in there. So I had a couple thoughts. It started off so well. You had it. Like, you had the problem solved. And she even threw you a softball by saying, the water's shut off in my building. So you've got the issue, you don't have this, you know it's an issue and you know it's solvable and you solved it. And done. And then you threw in this little thing about her working extra hours.
I didn't say hours, I said a little bit earlier, coming a little bit earlier,
And
and
an
maybe
hour
an
later.
extra hour at the end of the day.
A little bit earlier
So
and an hour later.
But it's not she's gonna get paid for the extra hour, I didn't say she was gonna get compensated for her extra time.
She may have gotten paid overtime.
Maybe, but she didn't, I said, what do you want, I gave her that open, but.
Okay, I mean, I think what happened is, and then she pushed back on that. And I might even suggest that you got a little nervous when she pushed back on that, and you got a little firmer in that stance. That's what it looked like to you that happened. That there was a slight emotional hijack on your part, like you went to emotional hijack, and you decided to stand your ground. And then that's where it went downhill. And I think, and we talked about last time that emotional hijacking compromises your ability to think rationally.
I don't think it's irrational, because the company doesn't have to sit through that expense. That was something that I was throwing out there. It's not something that we do to accommodate every employee that may be having some problem. Yeah, I mean, if I have a team of 25 and there's one, I mean, majority kind of, like, my moneymakers are here.
And then you even said that we all have to share this expense,
Yeah.
but she's the only one who has to work extra hours.
I didn't say extra hours. I said a little bit earlier.
A little bit,
Maybe an
a
hour
little bit
today.
earlier and an hour later. I mean, and maybe you'll disagree with me, but what I'm getting at is I think, like, if you took a breath and thought about this, you realize that's kind of unfair for her to have to do.
You're right.
But I think in the heat of this conversation, it just went to the only conclusion is you're fired.
Bye.
I'm gonna do it, guys.
And I think that was because of somewhat of an emotional hijack. What do you all think? Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree.
So avoid, getting into those emotional hijacks where you lose your ability to take a breath and say, let me think about this. I think we went over some ways you can avoid this emotional hijack. The triple B method, you can look at the slides. Breathe, break the pattern, build context. So I think, break the pattern, she could have just taken time, let me think about this for a minute. There's no reason necessarily to resolve it right then. Like, we have it pretty much resolved, let's just resolve it all the way after lunch. Let me take a minute to think about it. Alright.
It's funny you said that, because I actually was gonna break, and then something over here was like, no, She has to go. I'm serious.
She has to be fired.
So, yeah.
Wow, alright, good work. I mean, I hope that was helpful for you. I think it really, that really.
Sorry.
No, sorry for firing. Alright, let's see, maybe we can do.
Oh my god.
It is. Alright, let's try this one. Alright, you are a payroll manager supervising 25 people. Your team works in close quarters with little physical separation between stations. Drew is one of your best performers, yet you've received complaints that Drew tends to sprinkle conversations with rather crude and vulgar references. This is not a team of saints, but some have complained that Drew is crossing the line. You need to talk with Drew. Alright. Let's see, can I get a volunteer to play Drew? Letitia. And a volunteer to play the managing supervisor.
I don't want to know what's going to happen.
Good, and I think we've got a couple little housekeeping things to do. I need to explain what's happening next week. I need to go over the on-camera workshop, so that'll take maybe 10 minutes or so. So don't get too excited, but I think we'll wrap it up with the EQ after this one. So this is your last chance. Go for it, Dave.
How's it going, Drew? So your performance has really been great, as always. As you can see, we're working in a really tight workspaces here. Have you noticed how cramped it is working in the group lately?
Yeah.
So like we have a lot of new employees, a lot of employees that don't really know each other. We're really trying to bring that collaboration and have, you know, more socially open communication with each other. Have you noticed that lately?
Yeah.
That people are like talking and it's easy to hear conversations. So one of the things that was brought up to me was that they overheard some comments being said on the floor, and they felt that some of the comments that were made were a little bit poor worded, and I wasn't sure if you were aware of these issues.
Yeah, I may have heard something.
Okay, so we just want to make sure that, you know, we're respectful to each other, and since we're working in such close quarters with each other, you know, ears can hear everything. So we just want to make sure that we're respectful to people, and that when you're going to say something, just keep in mind what other people, how they may perceive it, because you may have a certain intention of what you're trying to say, but another person might hear it differently.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So why isn't the whole team here?
So the comments that I was told were actually directed at some of the comments that you had made, which is why I decided to bring you, just to kind of discuss with you. You're not being disciplined or anything like that. I just wanted to bring it to your attention and just say that since we are working in close quarters, that it's important to just be mindful of what words are said in a workplace.
Okay,
All right, thank you. I appreciate your time.
thank you.
All right, good comments for these two. Comments for David?
I think the way you handled that was really well. A little bit. Yeah, I mean, yeah, well, I think it was okay.
There were some very good things. Happened there? Anything you may have left ambiguous, or anything you could have done that would have been more effective?
I just felt like it shouldn't have just been me this week.
Some things that David did is he kept it very positive, but he also kept it very vague. It was really unclear why Letitia was in his office. I think the closest he came was he said there are some things that were worded poorly. And I like you used intentions, you know, are different than a good use of the lingo. But that was just kind of a positive thing as far as this conversation was concerned, that wasn't really clear what you were saying. So I think it was great and they kept it positive, but you sacrificed clarity for being positive. And that's not what we want to do with emotional intelligence stuff. We want to use emotional intelligence to be clear and effective and say things that ordinarily might upset someone, but because we have these skills, we can say it in a way that won't upset them. So I think Letitia needed a clear definition. And the other thought I had is at the beginning of this conversation, you asked a couple of questions which are good, but I think David asked too many questions without getting to the point. He said, you know, have you noticed that the workspace is small? Have you heard anything? And Letitia just looked like she's getting more and more, yes I know, no I haven't, what am I, is this chair about to like, is there a trap door here? I don't know what's going on. So, I would say, although we do want to ask questions as much as possible, that was a case where there were too many, too vague questions, which I think made Letitia nervous. Would you agree with that, David?
Yeah.
Alright, any other thoughts?
I try to bring it, you know, positive, like you're one of my best performers,
Oh,
you know
yes.
that.
That was
We're in a post, you know, space, we have new employees, have you noticed, you know, all these new people that you don't necessarily know.
Yeah.
I was trying to set up kind of the
I thought that was fantastic.
viewpoint of, you know, kind of almost like I'm on her side.
Oh yeah, I thought that was great. So you said, and you're one of our top performers, you know we work in cramped spaces, here's the issue. And I think that's the point where you should have just stated the issue.
Sure.
Instead of keeping it vague, because you're right, that was a fantastic start. It's true, she's one of your top performers. As long as it's true, you can definitely say it. Okay, great, why don't you have a seat? Fantastic work. So, alright, so we're going to briefly discuss next week, which is the on-camera workshop. I'm going to go over roles and assign roles, make sure you know what you need to do to get prepared for that workshop. And you will do that for next week, and then you will do your emotional intelligence summary, which is your last assignment, which is due next week. I know a number of you were not here last week, and there's no video for class last week, so to get class participation points and to just get up to speed in terms of what you need to know to write the emotional intelligence summary, you should do a couple things. One, you should watch the video that's in the syllabus, the Daniel Goleman video. Two, you should pull up the slides which are on Blackboard, look at those slides. Three, you should come to class tonight, which you did, and try to get a sense of what emotional intelligence is. Or you should ask me or ask your classmates specific questions about emotional intelligence. And if you want to hang around a little bit, ask some questions about anything we went over today that's unclear. I can do that. Does that make sense? Yes.
The emotional worksheet, where's that?
That's under slides.
So this was due today?
Yeah, but you can turn it in later. Yeah. So.
He emailed me right before, I emailed him asking him where I could find it, and then he emailed it back. He told me where I could find it on the slide.
Yeah, it's under
It's like
slides.
the last, right underneath the slide, because I first went there and I didn't see it, and then I went back and I seen it, I was like, I don't know why.
I put it up. I think Venetia reminded me to put it
Oh,
up.
okay, okay.
So.
And the syllabus.
Oh, the video's in the syllabus.
Yeah,
The YouTube video.
yeah, the videos and the syllabus under the. So, and if you wanna, yeah, it's in your syllabus. You can look on the printed syllabus, but you might want a soft copy of the syllabus, so you can just click on the link rather than typing in all of
Yeah.
that long thing. So the syllabus
Well,
is
no,
is
you
on
guys
black.
should just type in the title. I typed in the title.
Okay, perfect, perfect. And we want to do the emotional intelligence summary the same way we do the thesis subheading format. And remember, the key to the thesis subheading format is you have one thesis that is going to have 2 or 3 supporting points. A thesis might be emotional intelligence is useful in a business environment because it helps you diffuse conflict, stay less stressed, and get promotions. Those are not in parallel structure, I realize, but that's the type of thing you might have. And then you have 3 subheadings. Diffuse conflict, get less stressed, get promotions. And each of those subheadings would have a topic sentence, and they would have supporting sentences below that. And I've talked before about how I think this thesis subheading format works well for MBA students and works into your value statement, which is that you can take a touchy-feely type of thing, such as emotional intelligence, and explain clearly in one thesis statement why it has business value. You can also write an essay where I can immediately see what you're trying to say with that essay by looking at your thesis statement, looking at your subheadings in bold, quickly reading the title, skimming over it. Does that make sense? Okay, and I can stick around for, I would recommend you four, who were not here last week, we had a small class. If we want to talk a little bit about emotional intelligence, just the mechanics of how I presented it in class, I'd recommend you do that because there's a lot of moving parts to this exercise. Figuring out what it is, figuring out how to condense it down to a clear thesis statement, and then writing using the thesis subheading format. It's hopefully something that you'll be able to condense down that way, and I don't want you to get frustrated because you're tired, because you're caught up on a couple little details. But before I do that, let me just assign rules for the on-camera workshop. Has anyone looked at the on-camera stuff and thought about one of the things they might like to do? So for the on-camera workshop next week, we're going to talk about video conferencing. We'll talk about some ways that you can do that effectively from a communication standpoint. We'll talk about doing an on-camera interview. If you're ever called on professionally to do an interview, some tips, techniques to do that effectively. And then we will talk about press conferences. If you have to make a company announcement, you see someone else make a company announcement, you get them prepared for a press conference, some tips, tactics you can use for that. So with that, there are a couple different scenarios, and I want to get a volunteer for each scenario. Let's see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, so we've got a video conference scenario. We also have an interview scenario, and you can practice your interview in front of class. David helped me figure out how to get the camera working on the screen and whatnot. Or you could do the press conference. Does anyone have a preference? Does anyone want to do, what's your preference?
The press conference, the one
Press
with BP, right?
You want to be, okay, you want to be Carl,
No, I don't want to do the
you want to be a reporter?
Yes, please.
I don't-
I'm ready.
I don't think we're gonna, I don't know if we're gonna be able to get reporters in, because it's such a small class. Can you be Carl, does someone, would someone like to be
What is it?
It's the, he's the head of BP, the BP chairman.
Has to announce something bad.
Yeah, in 2012, there was a BP oil spill. You wanna be,
Yeah.
okay, alright. So you will be the Carl Henrik Sandberg. You will be the reporter to ask her a bunch of tough questions. Okay, so that's fine.
I'm ready. I thought that was gonna be this week, so alright, let's do it.
Alright, so this is Letitia. And reporter 1 is Vanisha. Alright, does anyone want to do an on-camera interview? Might be a little extra work, but it's an opportunity. On-camera interview is what you'll do. You'll make up an interview topic. You'll work with someone to interview you, and we'll do a practice interview on camera in class next week. No?
I'm not
Okay, so the rest of us will all do. See, the rest of us will.
No, I mean, he said on camera, so are we talking about that?
Alright, so let's do.
We have to pick one of these and that's separate, or is that like extra credit, or?
No,
what
that's.
does that mean?
It's
That's
yeah.
like one of the
Yeah,
the
it's
things
just,
you
it's
could
your
do.
assignment for next week. Let's see, do you get extra points for them, or are they just class? I think they're just class participation. Oh no, you get 5 points for doing it. You get regular class participation next week, which is 5 points. and you get 5 points for volunteering for one of these things.
Um,
And Venetia and Letitia already volunteered for one. None of you volunteered for the on-camera workshop, which means you're all doing the video conference scenario. So what we need to do is assign roles. Right, we've got this, and you'll need to read this scenario.
well, which, all of the scenarios, or are we doing separate ones, like everyone?
No,
gets
you're
one?
going to do the live-long annuity processing video conference scenario on page 10 of the syllabus. So you're gonna read the background, and we're gonna decide right now which role you will be playing. And then we're gonna set up a video conference, and if you're the VP of annuity processing, you're gonna say, oh, processing has to be faster. And then the salesperson is gonna say, well, you know, we need more sales, you're going too slow. And you're gonna try to solve this problem over video conferencing using some of the techniques that we'll talk about next week. Okay, so, VP of annuity processing sales. I think Orlando would make a great VP of annuity processing sales. Makes, okay, is that okay, Orlando?
Yeah.
Alright, head of annuity processing. I think David would make a great head of annuity processing. Unless, another thing we could do, no, never mind. Let's see, Maxine, did you have one of these roles you prefer? The project manager, the head of annuity sales, there's the VP of information technology.
I'll do IT.
The IT, alright, excellent. Maxine. And is that everyone? Amanda. Okay, Amanda, let me see, which one do I want you to do? So, yes. Okay. Okay. Okay, so Amanda, why don't you be the head of annuity sales? Okay, and then we'll have, or let's not do that, no, that's gonna be too hard. Okay, so Amanda, why don't you be the project manager? You be the project manager? Amanda. And then I will assign Gokay to the head of annuity sales.
What about the other one?
Is there another one?
Fuzzy, and then,
I'll have him be a
And,
reporter, probably. Fatih can be a reporter.
Oh,
Fatih.
I know, it's
Okay. Oh, she got a job, and so I don't know if she's coming back, which is good. She got this really awesome job, so she may be sending some comments based on this video.
Okay.
So she'll critique your difficult conversations.
Congratulations.
Alright, great. So, Orlando is the VP of Annuity Processing Sales. David is the head of Annuity Processing. Amanda is the project manager for online entry project. Gokay is the head of Annuity Sales. I'll send you an email. Maxine is the VP of Information Technology. Letitia is Carl Henrik Sandberg. And Fatih is one of the reporters, Venetia is the other one of the reporters. The other thing I need to ask you all is, Orlando, do you have a Skype account?
Probably.
Do you have a laptop? Okay, can you bring your laptop and does it have a camera on it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so bring your laptop, make sure your Skype account is up to date.
Okay.
David, Amanda, do you two have Skype and or laptop?
Yeah.
I don't have a laptop.
Can you bring,
I
okay,
have a lot.
put it on your phone. Down with.
Or maybe the,
okay, so Amanda, so you can bring your laptop and make sure Skype is up to date.
okay.
Okay,
Yeah, let me just make sure the Skype works on my laptop. and I will email it back to you.
Skype, okay, and Maxine, can you do the same? Can you bring a laptop? Okay, Skype. Okay, great, so Orlando, you're gonna bring your Amanda, Orlando, and Maxine, you're gonna bring laptops and make sure Skype is up to date. I think that's everything. Okay, any questions? Great work with the EQ stuff today. I hope you enjoyed those exercises. I will be around for a few minutes, and I'd be happy to clarify anything we went over last week, because my objective for your assignment that's due next week is not to make this frustrating. I want to make sure you have all the information you need to concisely write up this EQ report. So I'll be around, we can answer questions if you want to stay for a couple minutes. Did y'all want to discuss or ask some questions?
Do you have last week's slides?
What's that?
Last week's slides.
They are on Blackboard. I don't have any extra copies with me. You'll see when you look at the slides, you'll see that I broke down emotional intelligence in these three components. Self-awareness, emotional management, social management. We looked at what you have if you have each of these. If you have self-awareness, you can understand emotional effects and how that may put you on edge emotionally. If you have emotional management skills, we talked about this idea of rational thought that I brought up earlier. That when you go into an emotional hijack, you lose rational thinking ability. And then social management is the way you can empathize and react with other people because you're self-aware and because you can manage your emotions. We talked about this idea of emotional hijack. So this is just the fight or flight response. You go into a panic, adrenaline starts pumping through your body. This is good if your life is in danger, but that's the only time it's good. It's not good if you're giving a presentation. It's not good if you're in the middle of performance review. It's not good if you're having a conversation with your sister who annoys you. Because it compromises your ability to think rationally, and you want to think about how you can avoid emotional hijack. So we went through this self-assessment type of worksheets, which are on Blackboard, which ask you to think about times you've gone into an emotional hijack in the past, what the trigger was for that, what the early warning signs were for that, and ask you to think about how can you broadly describe those categories of events. And maybe you'll see a trend. You'll see, gosh, every time I talk to my manager, I go into an emotional hijack. Every time someone threatens my financial stability, I go into an emotional hijack. Every time my big sister says I'm not mature, I go into an emotional hijack. So that understanding can help you think about what you should do, what positive actions you should take. And that worksheet just gives you a chance to think over some of those things. Yeah.
We should take about that comment section, and should we email you the results?
You can,
You're gonna respond according to what I said.
It's just for you, and it's only 10 questions. You can just do it quickly. Yeah. Were you high EQ or low EQ? You're high? Awesome. Good job. So, and in terms of putting this into the thesis subheading format, let's just think over what would be your thesis. Like what are the instructions specifically? I think it says, motion colors, worksheets, wait a minute. Do you have this EQ? Oh yeah, emotional intelligence summary essay. Reflect on emotional intelligence discussed in class and write an essay about emotional intelligence and how it is useful for individuals who need to communicate effectively in a business environment. Please use the thesis subheading format framework discussed in class. So what might be your thesis for this short essay?
Emotional intelligence.
How does it help you communicate in a business environment?
It helps you to be self-aware.
Emotional intelligence helps you to be self-aware.
And
I was gonna have social management.
Yeah, some people actually just break it down the same way I broke it down in the slides. They say emotional intelligence helps you be more effective in a business environment by teaching you self-awareness, emotional management, and social management. Alright, so I just gave away the most common way people approach this essay. And you can do that, and your subheadings would be emotional self-awareness, emotional management, social management. And then you have a topic sentence for each one. The first one, self-awareness week. Emotional intelligence helps you with self-awareness, which allows you to identify what's going on in your emotions and how that may be affecting you. Emotional management. People who have emotional management maintain the ability to think rationally under pressure. Blah, blah, blah. Social management. People with social management skills can differentiate impact and intentions and communicate with people in a way that draws them to them. Yes, I definitely want you to have good essays for this last one. 'Cause this is like my reward, because it takes me so little time to grade your thesis subheading formatted papers by the time you do it 3 times. And I don't want this to be a frustrating experience for you either. Any questions? Alright. Email me if you have questions. Look forward to doing the on-camera workshop stuff with you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just have one question, but I don't know if it has to do with this. If emotional intelligence is such a big criteria in communicating in the business place, how is it that so many people don't have it? They don't utilize it, but they're still successful. Is that interesting?
How are so many unemotionally intelligent people successful?
Yeah, no, like Trump, for instance.
They said because it's not like something that is taught in school, it's something that is like learned over time, learning to communicate with people and, I don't know.
because
was
he
like-
only came to mind, so.
Does he have? Yeah. I've not done an emotional intelligence analysis of Donald Trump, but we can do it. What
But
do
he
you think?
did talk about, in the
Yeah,
video,
sure.
he talked about like, Jack Welch and somebody else,
Yeah.
and he said that Jack Welch, I don't know, the CEO of
Of GE.
GE.
And he changed, is that right?
He changed, yeah.
Yes, he became more emotionally
He
intelligent.
became
Yes,
more
yeah.
emotional intelligence, and then even though they laid off so many people, everyone recommended that company to work for. But
Yeah.
I don't know how it would be, like, so many people are successful without it.
Donald Trump is an interesting one, though. So is he emotionally intelligent or not? I guess we need to decide that first.
I guess it depends on the
I
audience.
think sometimes, I think he's aware of what he says, like, I think he strategically thinks about it, and he's just blunt, though, like, that's who he is.
Yeah, he's definitely in touch with the
Mhm.
anger that people are feeling,
Mm-hmm.
and he acknowledges that. So there are aspects where he is emotionally intelligent.
But he doesn't have any emotional filters.
Yes, he lacks some of his emotional management skills. Yeah, he has good social awareness, lack of emotional management skills. So he would be good at this status card game.
Yeah. Give one two every time.
All right,
Have
see
a
you
good
later.
night.